Cry of lizard, croak of frog, purr of cat, and bark of dog, lick of weasel, smell of rat, tail of ferret, ear of bat, fine chopped liver, pair of cheese, wine that tastes like antifreeze. Add some fish balls, schmaltz and lakshen. This will make a fine concoction. Add a bit of calf's foot jelly. Mix it up with vermicelli. Given this time, will congeal and soon produce a Purim spiel. Fair is foul, and foul is fair. Whatever that might mean, come gather round, my dearest friends, to see our Purim scene, to stories full of magic. The Megillah we did fit, so we think that we should warn you that you might get scared a bit. The story we're about to tell, the plot could not be tenser. It's had a 12A rating from the Kosher Purim Censor. We thank our witty players whose talents we're extolling, who've had an awful lot of help from the author J.K. Rowling. Instead of being set among Shushan Palace courts, we moved it bag and baggage to a school that's named Hogwarts. So settle down and stay with us here in our own little show as we catch up the train from King's Cross by walking through a wall. Of demons and goblins that will give you fright, and dark spooky noises that go bump in the night. That leave you feeling quite on edge and somewhat out of sorts. We'll begin our tale of Purim at Hogwarts. Ooh, but wait, Jeffrey, not so fast. I need to tell you about the cast. Our hero's Morty Potter, who's a Harry lookalike, but he doesn't ride a broomstick, just an old rusty bike. He wears the big frame glasses with a talit, not a cape, and because he is a Jewish boy. His scar's a different shape, the villain of our story, with a name none dare to speak. He had a row with Morty's mom and dad, and in a fit of pique, went over to black magic, and then he did proclaim,
I've evil Voldehame. You won't forget my name.
Now Morty has a special female friend who is a close relation. No one knows where she came from, though there is much speculation. She hides a massive secret that's obvious to you and me. So here's our red-haired sorceress who's called Estione. Finally, there's Achashverosh. Now you try rhyming that. He has a big, black, bushy beard and is really rather fat. We've changed him to Gridaris. He's something of a riot. He goes to Hogwarts gym each day and says he's on a diet. So now you've met the cast, a rather sorry lot. We tried our very best, but they're all that we have got. So we settle back and we reveal the first act of Potter's Spiel.
My name is Hagadaris. I'm chief wizard in this school. I may be big and hairy, But I ain't nobody's fool. I had a great big party, and I drank a load of beer, and finished off my act by making Vashti disappear. She was stealing all the limelight and deserved to get the sack, so I made the lady vanish, but forgot to bring her back. That's when all my pupils saw that I was to be feared, even though most of them thought I hid her in my beard. She had disobeyed me, so I had the last laugh. My encore was my favorite trick. Saw a woman in half. But now I'm most upset and regretting what I've done. A solo act upon the stage is sadly not much fun. I may not be attractive, but I am really quite insistent. What good is a magician with no beautiful assistant? So how to find a helper now that Vashti's been dismembered? Someone who won't steal the show and won't be remembered. I sent out for the fairest maids, and despite the schoolboys' snickers, lined them up in the dining hall and just their vests and knickers. I picked over a stunning redhead, who I thought was not a muggle, then sent all the others home with a shekel for their trouble. The name of the lady that I chose, you'll see the irony, is now the Queen of Hogwarts. I give you Estione.
My family were as poor as mice from a neighborhood that's rough. And though we were respectable, we could not afford the stuff that all the other families had, like iPods and 3D tellies. We ate year-old matzo crackers just to fill our bellies. And with just a flickering candle to give the house a little heat, our hearts were full of sorrow and our shoes were full of feet. But then, one summer's day, when they forecast snow and blizzard, I was brought along to Hogwarts and chosen by this wizard. I wanted to impress him, as I was kind of newish. But Morty told me not to tell the king that I was really Jewish. But then he went all crazy and shouted,
"Be alert! I reckon Voldehame is near. My scar's begun to hurt."
The villain killed his mom and dad when he was 6 months old. And now, when Voldehame's around, his hands and feet get cold. He's evil and nasty and rich as old King Midas. And to make things worse, he's got a thing for giant spiders.
I'm the mighty Voldehame, an evil mad magician. Frankly, you'll do very well to treat me with suspicion, for I am full of nasty tricks and I hate Morty Potter. I guess that you could say I'm a cad and I'm a rotter. I joined the Magic Circle one, but they said I was no good. They said that all my tricks went wrong and not do what they should. I didn't take no notice, 'cause I am really superior. But I got annoyed when they said I was worse than Tommy Cooper. I know lots of spells, invocations, and some charms, and even I think I know the words to a couple of salams. But it really does annoy me that I don't have the crown. And just this week, I couldn't get Morty Potter to bow down. But now I have a cunning plan to end my strife and struggles. I want to rid the whole world of Jewish muggles.
Boo! 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 Boo!
In fact, I've got a nasty scheme that I recently hatched to ensure that every one of them is hastily dispatched. I employ 500 orcs, and each one 8'2" in height, and they're all going off to Hogwarts. There, in the middle of the night, they'll poison the smoked salmon and the pickled herring too, which will make short work for Morty and every other Jew. You realize these Jews are exponentially firm and shabu. They won't even ride upon a witch's broom. If you give them a cauldron filled with frogs alive and kicking, they'll fill it to the brim instead with a delicious soup of chicken. So I've told the Hagridaris that he's got nothing to lose. If he just give me the nod, I'll get rid of all the Jews. I have some special magic. It's not just tricks or fakery. It's not a wand or a Quidditch stick. I got it from a kosher bakery. Into the king's trust, myself, I will inveigle the source of all my power, the Philosopher's Bagel.
Morty Potter is my name. Of the Jews, I am quite fond. I've got a giant Magen David atop my magic wand. The plan to destroy our people really is quite tragic, but I've just discovered that I'm quite good at magic. And alongside my dear niece, Queen Estione, you'll see that the Jews can all rely on me. I'm not even frightened of your huge three-headed dog. It's about as scary as a milk chocolate frog. I will not bow down. Kiss your hand or kiss your footy. I've seen better magic from that bear whose name is Sooty.
I will string you up in the middle of the town in a straitjacket and chains. You'll be upside down. Then I'll set your clothes on fire and throw away the key, and we'll see that you're not just Morty Potter, not Morty Houdini. I've used my sorting hat to tell me of the date. The 14th of Adar is when you'll meet your fate. All the Jewish muggles simply won't be here next year. With the power of my bagel, we'll make them disappear. You'll be very sorry you didn't bow for you will see. Nothing in the world can stop me now.
Voldehame wrote details of his plot to very foul, to each and every kingdom to be letters sent by an owl. But one flew into Morty's room instead of flying off afar, which made him very nervous on the 14th of Adar. Our story now shifts to a busy train station. Two villains standing there debating the state of the nation. One is Big Hun Malfoy, and one is Terra Snape. They're ready to make mischief, hiding poison in their capes. With their potions and their pills, they're plotting to kill Hagridaris. They've nasty weapons by the score, and other things to scare us. But Morty was close by and heard of their scheme and decided to report what he's heard to the queen.
Look!
Said the villains,
He thinks that he has caught us.
and chased him to platform 7 3/4. But Morty escaped with a vanishing trick and climbed aboard the Hogwarts Express and left the station pretty quick. The plotters pursued in a car that flew through the air, but Morty reached Hogwarts with seconds to spare. He reported his story to the Queen, who told it to the King, and the plotters hung upon a tree. But Morty never got a thing, so that was the end of those two ne'er-do-wells, but always inscribed in the King's big book of spells.
Lying in my bed one night, my heart was ill at ease. My piles were playing merry hell, and there were pains in both my knees. I asked my servant Dobie, who has all sorts of soothing powers, to read to me as he sometimes did to pass the nighttime hours. He found some books in the library, most of them quite old. One was the Hogwarts spell book, covered in grime and mold. And in those yellow pages, he came across a tale of a plan to do away with me, which he happily did fail, because of Morty Potter, who chanced to overhear assassins talking in the station and drinking too much beer. They arrested Big Ton Mafoy and the other plotter, but no one thought of what to do about the gallant Potter. And to this day at Hogwarts, no credit was accorded, and no attempt on his report card to see he was rewarded. When Dobie read this bygone tale, I both felt sad and rotten. I leapt from my bed at once, my piles and knees forgotten. I sent at once for Voldehame in the middle of the night, because I need him to fill me in on how to put this right. Voldy, mate, I said I need your help. Think fast. How would you reward someone who served you in the past? What honors would you heap on him? What lands, jewels, what money? Voldy scratched his head and said,
Now this is rather funny. I've thought about that very thing. I think it would be cool to let him ride your Nimbus 2000 up and down the hall.
So I told him to take the broomstick and my magic wand as well, and give them both to Morty to keep for a short spell. But when I told Voldy of my plan, I had the strangest notion. He looked as if I'd had a swig from the green, foul-smelling potion. He seemed a little angry, like a bear with a sore head, almost as if he'd had thoughts he deserved the reward instead.
Yay! Hooray! Yippee! Hooray! Hooray!
I now know exactly what Voldehame wants to do. I asked the wizard Dumbledore, and it turned out that he knew. I've consulted the chamber pot of secrets and the pensioner of Azkaban. And now I'm sure just how to wreck his nasty evil plan. I'll ask my niece Estione, who's living with the king, to send out new owl messages sealed with his ring. You see, King Ahagridaris runs this Hogwarts gaff. He's not the brightest bloke there is, and his clothes are rather naff. But he's got lots of magic powers that Voldehame's Bagel just can't match. And he can make completely sure that any plan that he might hatch is doomed to dismal failure, and that the evil lord is strung up by his toenails with the king's pajama cord. Fireburn and cauldron bubble, Estione dear, We're in deep stuck. Don't just sit there like a trapped Rapunzel. Voldehame is, well, frunzeled. He's out to get us if he can. You've got to stop this evil man. I know you think it's really shocking, but you should wear your fishnet stockings. The king might not be quite so tough if you're wearing kinky stuff.
He'll kill us all without a thought because you didn't bow. Oh, Morty Porter, please tell us. Can we panic now? I'm just so worried. In fact, I'm in a tizzy. And yet you say that it is time for Izzy Wizzy. Let's get busy. But my uncle, I'm so frightened because I'm a lousy witch. And so he might not let me in by holding out his golden snitch to enter his chambers of secrets. Really ain't so cool. I got a better suggestion. Let's just go to shul. Voldehame continues on with this intimidation. We could try some Potter transfiguration. We could change him now from a devil, oh so sinister, into a respectable Cape Cod synagogue minister. And if that doesn't stop him and make him give in, then we can report him to the local Bet Din. And if all of this still fails, we will somehow conspire to have him sit next to the synagogue choir. His ears are so sensitive, he'd be sure to go numb, especially when they murder Adon Olam.
No, your ideas will not work, my dear little niece. You need to do more if you want this all to cease. Invite them to a party with ice cream and jelly. To win the king's heart, you must go through his belly. Don't be afraid, my child. I don't wish to offend, but I've read the whole Megillah, so I know how this spiel ends.
Well, this is very nice, my dear, with sticky buns and tea. But my darling queen, why did you invite me here? And my colleague, too. Up to half my school I will give you, if you tell. I've got a magic mirror, if you'd like to use that as well.
I don't need a magic mirror on the wall to tell you who's the baddest of them all. The one who wants to kill my uncle and my clan. I need you to help me stop his dreadful, evil plan.
Of course, my Queen Estione. Only you could charm us. Just let me point my wand at him, and it's Expelliarmus.
Oh, a Hagridaris. Thank the Lord. For once you've shown good taste. I'll tell you now that Voldehame's the one who's two-faced.
To presume to kill the Muggles, Voldehame, you've been precocious. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious!
And so, my friends, that's the way everything transpired. Ahaggadors produced the magic and the spells like one inspired. And as for Morty Potter, he's now the head prefect at the school, though apparently he'd rather be the gabbai at the shul. And then there's Voldehame, who's not looking quite his best, strung up by his toenails in just his underpants and vest. I dare say that's the very last we'll ever see of him. They'll feed him to the Hogwarts hound, who'll tear him limb from limb. and Purim Sameach to all of you. And so ends our tale of wizards and witches. We all hope that our spiel has had you in stitches. So now it is time to thank the cast and the crew. Stay safe in your homes, and Purim Sameach to all of you.
So they think that they've banished me to another strange dimension, when all that's really deserved was just to go to detention. But I will return with power from Durades at the Stonehenge, and when they last expect me, I'll get my revenge. They think that I'm God, but I will give them hell. There's 4 more Harry Potter films and next year's Purim spiel as well. Bah ha 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 ha!